Hello YouTube, this is Insane Monster and happy Halloween. This is part of the Halloween special and hope you will enjoy part 2 of What If Asta Was a Nine-Tailed Kitsune. Now that that's covered, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Also remember to hit the notification bell and all that. Normally I say that at the end, but you guys tend to just stop right when the what if is over, so saying it now. So before the what if starts, hit it. Alright, now then, when we last left off, Asa just met Noelle and everybody else and such. So we meet back at the Black Bulls place where they're eating. As Asta finds himself more relaxed and seems to be able to trust the people in the Black Bulls. So he normally just stays in his uh, humanoid kitsune form with his tails flaring out along with his ears. As Vanessa states that it's kind of interesting that this is what you typically look like. Asta just states, is it really that interesting? It just feels natural to me. With Noelle stating, well, kind of strange also, since I don't think foxes are supposed to have so many tails. Brutus comes up also stating, since he is a black hound and able to talk and such, he states that it's actually quite common for kitsune. In fact, it's a signature of them, of their power and such. Though it's rare to be born like this, like Asta here, more or less, a nine-tailed kitsune in the terms of yokai is about the equivalent of what you would consider a royal or a ruler. Essentially one who rules over yokai. Which is interesting. As Magda and Yami are heading out for their gambling, Yami calls over Noelle to do something for him while he's gone. Gives her something and tells her what to do before him and Magna leave. Noelle is confused about what she got handed, as Magna asks, why are you smiling like that? With Yami trying so hard not to let his laughs out. Later on in the day, while Yami and Magna are getting all of their possessions gambled away, back at the Black Bull's hideout, it's raining while the sun is still shining out. As we see Asta at a balcony portion of the hideout, as he smirks. Kinda seeing the irony of him being in this kind of weather. Though, Noelle shows up behind him asking him for his help for something that Yami told him to do. Well, told her to do. Noelle walks up asking for Asta's hand because he has to do something. Asta doesn't think much of it, so he extended his hand not really looking, until he felt something on the bottom of his finger. Looking over, it's a red thread, and he full on just jumps off the balcony, blushing, using his powers to fly, yelling out, "The hell are you doing?" The well just states, "What? Yami told me to do this. I don't know why, though." With Asta just freaking out and getting angry, stating, "I am going to strangle him with my tails." With Noelle asking, why? What exactly does this mean? You just told me to tie a red string around your ring finger while it's, well, this kind of weather, raining while the sun's out. Which causes Asta to blush and just get the hell out of there for a moment, as Brutus has been watching this and can't stop laughing. Brutus ends up deciding to take his more human form, black hair with dark clothing and such, as his hair is quite long in this form. He then starts to explain to Noelle what exactly it means in stages. He first talks about the weather, as this is known from the yokai's homeland. This weather is known as a fox's wedding. And I'm sure you heard about the Red String of Fate story even here. Essentially, if you would have tied that onto his ring finger during this kind of weather, that would be tantamount to proposing marriage to him. As we then see Noelle just completely turn bright ass red, with her head just steaming and running all the way to her room to freak out, where Brutus is just laughing, thinking to himself that Yami has a unusual sense of humor. So as Yami comes back, as Noelle goes up to Asta to apologize about that awkward situation, and that Brutus told her about the whole thing, that what it meant. Asta stated that it was fine and that it's okay that you didn't know about it. You probably wouldn't. So Yami would, which is why he told you to do it. He was messing with us. As he sighs, remarking that their captain seems to enjoy messing with people a little bit, which Yami kind of does. So as Yami and Magna come in their birthday suits after getting everything gambled off of them, Noelle just freaks out more, looking away, with Asta looking at him, stating, "The hell happened to you two?" And Yami, I'm gonna get you back for that whole string thing. With Yami saying, "Oh, you actually did it." Ah, oh, that's hilarious. But Magna not knowing what you actually tricked Noelle into doing. When he asked, Asta just smacked Magna with his tail, telling him to, "You don't need to know." Afterwards, they're told that they're getting their first mission, as they're going boar hunting. So, yeah, they go boar hunting, though Noelle is not pleased about this whole crazy cyclone thing. Asta just states he's gonna fly there on his own power, as he just begins to float. Noelle asks if he can get a lift, because he'd rather die than be seen on that disaster of a broom. So he picks her up with one of his tails and kind of makes a seat with it. As Brutus also hops on one of his tails to hitch a ride as well. Magna's just yelling out, "You're just jealous," as he rides his crazy cyclone to go there, leading Asta and such to their destination. As for the hunting portion, once they got there, Asta took care of it pretty well. Magna was just relaxing, and Brutus used his yokai powers to increase his size dramatically and hunt down the boars as well, taking out about less than half of them that Asta took out. Afterwards, easy enough to stack on as they walk to the village, with Noelle stating that she didn't know that Brutus could change sides like that. or take a human form like he did earlier. Brutus smirked, or what you would think a dog would, or do a dog smirk, as he states, yokai aren't normal beings. We can change our forms, as well as take forms to help us hide ourselves from normal humans. Though every now and then you'll hear tales of humans making contracts with yokai in various terms. This does cause some interest, though they couldn't go any further in the discussion as the fog around Sashi village catches their attention. Once they get there, Magna tells him to use his sword to cut through it. He does do it, cutting clean through, as he asks Brutus if he smells anything. Brutus states, of course not. I mean, if you can't. The fog is mainly mist, and that's messing up with the sense of, the sense of smell, making it harder to pick up anything definitive. So, yeah. As they get to where they're going, they see a bunch of ice spikes hovering over the villagers of Sashi village. Both Magna and Asta shoot out fire to destroy them, as they see the chief of Sashi village injured. Asta grips his fist as claws begin to come out from his nails. He uses one of his tails to stretch out and grab a nearby tree, ripping the life energy out of it, using that force of life to transfer in to the old man of Sashi village. If I'm not mistaken from what I've read about kitsune, they had the ability to train life force. I would also assume that they could have the ability to transfer it. So there is that. The chief is healed now, but he is still pretty weak from burning through a lot of magic after fighting these mages. He flares his tails and such as he hid them on the way to the village, being completely pissed. Of course, they still fire the same giant ice spike as Asta slices it in half, which is when the battle begins, firing numerous ice attacks at the villagers. Asta extended his tails, hardening the fur of them to smack him around, as he tells Brutus to help protect the villagers. He increases his size and uses his hair manipulation to harden it and help protect as well. Many yokais, from what I understand, a few of them tend to have hair manipulation, which comes in a number of forms, even in other mythologies besides Japanese, where mythical beings are common and such. So, as they see that they are barely holding on because they're going full 360 attack onto the villagers, as the little girl asks Noel that they're going to protect them, right? She then is able to create her sea dragon's lair, as Asta blitz through it to get to the mage. Though he does cut through it and tries to step back, trying to figure out what's going on, the mage then attacks him again, though Asta's been trained to be a tricky yokai in a fight. So when the attack was launched at him this time, all it did was go through an illusion, as the real Asta used illusionary abilities to make himself invisible and strike the ice mage from behind, sending him through one wall and into another. As for the other ones, Magna was powering up an attack while Asta used his plant manipulation to go underneath in the ground using the nearby trees and burst the roots from the ground, tying up the mages. One of the mages was able to use a uh, his magic to turn himself into water from what we saw and get away. As for the others, they were freezing up the roots that were holding them to break out, but were soon met with Magnus' fire magic that chained them up in a fire binding spell. Afterwards, they get them propped up as they state that they're going to bring them to the capital for questioning. Though the pocket watch guy stated that no, they won't, and ends up fully bursting themselves with a magical ice suicide pact kind of thing. So yeah. As for the villagers, they were cleaning up the mess as the Black Bulls were giving them a hand. Asta retreated his tails and fox ears as they met with the chief of Sashi village, who's alive in this. Next thing we see is Nero pecking Asta on the head repeatedly with the little stone thing as he goes and grabs it, trying to yank it out of Nero's mouth, with the chief laughing, stating that they could take that stone as payment for their job they did. They only really asked them to do boar hunting for them for free. Protecting them was something else. So yeah, they did take the stone. As for when they got there, we hear the Black Bulls somewhat laughing a little bit at Asta and the well, which Asta can pretty much guess what this is about. So Magna is asking, what's so funny? After things calm down and Magna learns what was so funny, Asta was about to tail smack everybody, but calmed down as he congratulates Asta, Noel, and Magna on a good job. Yami shows off the star they earned, which adds up to not the biggest dent in considering that they're in the negative star zone in compared to the other squads and such. So yeah. So then Vanessa takes Austin Noel to the black market, which they are surprised to see, as Vanessa states that they can look for something for Noel to help her focus her magic, but for someone like Asta, he's not really sure what would be good for him. After looking for some stuff, he finds a fox mask that he likes, that he finds the pattern to be likable. Brutus shakes his head as he tagged along, showing off that it's a good mask. So he ends up buying it and having it put on his hip side on the opposite side of the grimoire. We also see Seke, who's there, who is completely jealous of Asta and the fact that he's in the same Magic Knight squad as Noel and Vanessa. Of course, the Cloud Mage still steals the big bag of money and runs off outside the black market. Asta follows him using one of his tails to grip the anti-magic sword to extend it, cutting the cloud he was riding, and then using two other tails, one to grab the bandit, one to grab the money, and bringing them in as Asta slams the bad guy onto the ground. causing the wind to get knocked out of him. So yeah, Asta takes the liberty of tying him up, only to have Seke to come there too little too late. Though Seke states that he'll bring him in from here on as he rides off. Brutus states that you aren't going to stop him and take the credit you deserve. Asta just shrugs his shoulders, stating, nah, I don't really care. Then Brutus remarks, but the Black Bulls are basically in the negative star zone, remember? Wouldn't that have helped? And Asta just kinda laughed nervously, stating, probably. And Brutus states, you didn't think of that, did you? No, no, I did not. As we see Asta retracting the tails and such as they walk back, with the Wizard King looking up from above, transforming back from the old lady disguise. So yeah, he got the money he swindled uh out of Seke and such, as well as see Asta in action, as he remarks that his power is quite interesting. So yeah, and then as then that his assistant shows up in the magic window thing, yelling at him to get back to work. So yeah, next time we see them, we see that Asta, as well Noel and Luck are being picked to go to the dungeon. So yeah, and it was also a request from the Wizard King. So Asta's excited but curious about why Asta was handpicked to go there, but just shrugs it off. And they end up going. So this time around, Brutus doesn't go along with them, thinking that he's been proving that he can handle himself, so it's best just to let things go from here, at least for now. As they do go into the dungeon, instead of a lantern, Asta uses a foxfire to light their way, and we see Luck opening the entrance to the dungeon and such. As Luck then begins activating the traps, causing Asta to use his anti-magic sword to slice them, dispelling them and such. So Luck is having his fun with that, as we see that he senses the enemy and goes directly for them. Not knowing why he's doing this exactly, though he smells around, first thing he smells is a scent familiar to him, as he looks back smirking, where we see Yuno and such. After smelling this scent, he just stopped. So, and Noel looked back as well, seeing Mimosa and such. So, a little reuniting with them both in proper introductions. As Klaus steps up, asking why they're there, as they have their same fight as in canon. So, yeah. As then the Golden Dawn flies away on Yuno's wind arc, with Asta stating that they're not going to lose. Flares up his tails to grab Noel with some of them, and just jumps away, flying, with Noel stating, hey, give me a little warning next time. With Asta stating, sorry, I am just so annoyed from that Four Eyes. With Noel sighing, as things go as in canon for the Golden Dawn getting attacked by Mars, as well as Luck being captured, as Nero directs Asta and Noel to where Luck is. Asta goes full force towards Luck and frees him from the smoke trap. As the smoke maids, remarking that his odds don't seem good, creates a barrier around them to sap away their strength slowly. Asta remarks that he can't smell him at all with all this smoke. It also seems to be hiding whatever kind of. Ugh, he just can't speak. The smoke smell is really getting to his heightened senses quite bad. So they come up with a plan. As Luck in the Well would fire off magic to guide him towards to help get a lock on him, as Asta, who has spiritual power instead of magic, would go directly for him, slamming him with the sword. As he gets a broken arm, he does grab his goons and gets away with his smoke magic. As they go try chasing him down, Asta tells them to stop, that they need forget about him. On asking why, Asta remarks that he smells blood and has a similar scent to those three that and the other two that we met earlier. So they go directly for the treasure room. As they get there, Asta strikes the sword that was about to cleave in half, as the same argument with them happens. As for the fight, Asta, using his tails, uses them to strike at Mars's attacks while in mid-air, while the others deal with the mineral clones and such. Klaus sees Asta in this form, remarking that this doesn't make sense. He's flying, shooting fire, as well as seems to be shooting hairs from those hail things? That this doesn't make sense at all. And how is he destroying this guy's magic? Noel chimes in, stating that he can use anti-magic, as Mars remarks that Asta is so annoying and that he'll destroy him for standing in his way, with Klaus stating to Noel's comment that that's impossible. Such a power is beneath a commoner. So, as the fight continues, Asta strikes him with his sword and then follows up with a tail smack, sending him into the water. As he goes to check if Mars is down for the count, he's met with another attack from mineral magic, with Mars and his mineral golem that Asta cuts in half, but is hit from both sides with the with mineral, yes, crystals and such. So Asta comes out of it fine, though with his clothes pretty torn up, as Klaus sees how well built his body is. Asta gets furious, using his flames to blast the arms on the mineral golem to clean off, and go directly towards Mars with the anti-magic sword, hitting him, knocking him out. As then Klaus locks him up and takes his grimoire. Back in canon, Asta cuts down the magic door, with Klaus saying that there's no way he could, and yeah, they go into the treasure room. Gets his wind spirit magic, as Asta goes and follows an arrow that leads him to a little circle in the wall. He smacks it with his tail, finding the second anti-magic sword, grabbing it as it goes into his grimoire. Next thing we see is Mars attacking the well, as Mimosa then goes to try to heal her, and the others are basically encased and trapped in minerals to keep them from fighting. Asta comes and starts to attack as we see that Mars is also using flame magic to heal himself along with his mineral golem and starts firing off attacks. Obviously, Asta uses his tails and the swords not just to send the blades back, but to destroy them and such, as Noelle remarks that he's the only commoner that she's ever accepted, and that she knows he can win. Of course, her magic goes into the sword as Asta uses it to hit Mars and extinguish his flames. After putting the sword back into his grimoire, tries to go over to see if he can help, though Mars tries to do a one last attack. Though not only did Yuno accidentally use his wind magic, but in that moment, for Asta, things seemed like they were moving slower. Blood was pumping, he didn't have his sword out, and he wasn't sure his tails would be able to be enough to stop this thing from hitting Noelle and Mimosa. They could probably protect him, but not in their current position and such. He could not use them to protect Mimosa and Noelle. The stress, he just didn't want to quit, causing him to dig deep and actually do a full nine-tailed kitsune transformation. As the air cannon from the wind spirit hit the sword, Asta in his new full fox form, with Mars still being a bit conscious, trying to attack again, is then met with a full-fledged attack from a full-size nine-tailed kitsune for Asta in this form, striking him, knocking him right out. As then we see that the dungeon's collapsing on them. As they try to figure out what to do, Asta, in his enlarged fox form, grabbed everybody with his tails, placing them on their back. As he sees the diamond mages stacking up on treasure using that smoke car thing, Asta used one of his free tails, grabbing him and his grimoire, to throw Mars onto the pile of gold. Next, he used his plant manipulation and such, using the plant light that's there, to grow a giant tree with a canopy of branches and leaves over them, while forming over them to protect them from the rubber as he grows the tree to burst through one layer of the dungeon after another. This is more or less looking like a cherry tree as it bursts from up top, not just bringing the Clover Kingdom mages, but the Diamond Kingdom mages too, and some treasures pocketed in some areas of the tree. As Asta then reverts back to his normal human state, with the Diamond Kingdom wondering if they're gonna have to fight again, though not so willing to do so considering how much they got it handed to them. Asta stated that they got the important stuff, that so it's not really much of a need to keep fighting, is it? Klaus can see Asta's tired, Yuno's tired, Noelle just got recovered by Mimosa. Mimosa's not really much of a fighter, and Klaus burned up a good bit of magic, not only trying to restrain Mars, but trying to fight him from earlier and such. Though the Diamond Kingdom was looking even worse, he just sighs and remarks, "Fine." So the Diamond Kingdom gets out of there. Though then we see Klaus hugging Yuno and Asta, remarking that he was wrong about them, that he shouldn't have judged them because they were commoners. Though after that touching moment, Klaus then got serious, asking the hell's up with Asta. He thought he had some kind of flame magic or something. What are you? And how did you turn into that giant fox with 9 tails? Why does a giant fox have 9 tails to begin with? As he grabs Asta's shoulders, completely shaking him, and Asta stating, I can't tell you if you keep shaking me. And Klaus just stops and apologizes. Luck comes into the conversation stating, oh, that's actually pretty simple. He's actually half, well, he's actually half some kind of spirit animal or whatever. Asta sighs, remarking, yeah, no, not spirit animal, I'm half kitsune, and I'm a nine-tailed kitsune, as he sighs. Which Klaus asks, what does that mean? Asta just states that you can think of it as a half spirit. My body isn't really that normal or anything like that. I can alter my form and such. Though it's hard for me to get into that full nine-tailed state that you saw me in. I'm not sure if that's the biggest I can get or such or anything like that. But I think it's a step closer in the right direction to my full power. As he smirks confidently, with Klaus being amazed that he's some kind of half spirit, not thinking that was possible. Though then we hear Noelle remarking that Asta's clothes are torn, with Asta making the same remark about Noelle, saying her clothes aren't any better in this current state, as he freaks out, jumping on him. They do laugh a bit, but Klaus then states, also, that hell, how are we supposed to get this treasure out of this tree? Asta just controls the tree to get into the ground, and states that they should just leave with the treasure and get back. So they do so, as they report to Yami and such, telling them all that happened. Brutus congratulated the young master on achieving the full kitsune form, asking if he's able to do it again. He tries though, but doesn't happen, with Brutus stating that it probably was a reaction to a high stress situation. Somewhat like survival instincts kicking in order for you to make it out of there alive. Asta just shrugs his shoulders, saying, probably, as Yami just congratulates them and such, as he also states along with Brutus that they kind of wish they were there to see Asta in his full kitsune form, thinking it would be pretty interesting. Which it was. But with all that done, we are now done with this part. I hope you liked it. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, and we'll see you in part 3. So, with all that said, hope you enjoyed, and see you later.